I know there's been a lot of people out there who've been asking about liquidation. So we just wanted to give you guys 5 rules that we follow every single time we look at buying liquidation.
So in these rules, they're not in any sequential order, like number 1 is the most important, 5 is the least important. They're just 5 rules that we go by.
Yep.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Joe and this is Jessica and we're from The Family Flips.
You can catch us on A&E's Extreme Unboxing, which premieres August 4th. That's a Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah, we just want to thank SteveRakenProfits.com for you've always been so supportive and helpful, not only to us, but the entire reselling community. So thank you.
And we do appreciate it very, very much.
Yep.
And we certainly appreciate it. Rule number 1 is don't invest money that you aren't willing to lose, because pallet buying and liquidation buying is always going to be a risk.
Yeah, so don't use your rent money to go and buy a pallet because you think that you're just gonna double money like we did, and you get that money back and pay rent. Like, you don't want to do that. There's always the risk that you're not gonna make your money back.
I mean, in fact, there's actually a pallet that we filmed for Extreme Unboxing that we did not make our money back.
No.
It was a very disappointing pallet on national TV.
Yeah, and even our first pallet that we ever bought, I bought it uneducated, didn't know what I was doing, bought it. We didn't make our money back.
Yeah, so it's always going to be a risk. And you know, the more experience that you get and the more that you learn and you make mistakes, the chances of you getting a pallet that you're not going to make your money back right away is going to go down. But that's always a risk. It's always there, looming over your head.
Rule number 2 is expect stuff to be broken. You're going to get some garbage in that pallet.
I mean, it doesn't matter if you're buying overstock, if you're buying shelf pulls. Now, if you're buying salvage, you can really expect things to be broken. But there's always going to be something there. They don't handle things very, very well. You know, if there's an MSRP of,
you know, $5,000, like, err on the side of caution and expect, like, that's not going to be fully there, because there's going to be stuff in there that's broken.
People just be throwing stuff on pallets and whatever.
They do. We just had a pallet recently that we purchased where in the pictures on the auction, there is a $700 stroller that was in pristine condition, but then we got the pallet and the box was all damaged. Luckily, the stroller was still fine, but the box was all damaged.
And it could have been a lot worse, because the stroller could have been damaged if there was more pressure or, you know, whatever, so.
Yeah. And in our experience is you purchase stuff, you learn what percentages you can expect to be broken. But then, again, every pallet is different.
Rule number 3 is you really want to focus on turning over your inventory and don't try to squeeze pennies out of every little thing. In this business, cash flow is king.
Yeah, and I know for us, like early on in liquidation, and I still fight the urge to do it. I'm like, oh, I can fix that, or oh, I can get this if I just get this. And now we've got a storage unit that's got probably 2 or 3 pallets of stuff on there that I thought that I would get to, but never did, because you realize, like, you don't end up having the time. So realizing that now I've spent hundreds of dollars in storage fees that I should have just thrown that stuff in the dumpster to begin with.
Yeah, I understand that a lot of times you want to reduce your waste. You want to reduce the imprint that's on here. But keep in mind, when you're selling liquidation, you are finding new homes for a lot of things that otherwise would not have homes. You're going to have to expect that there is some level of loss that's going to be contributing to that.
Yeah. So don't spend...
Attributed to that.
Attributed.
Not contributed. Yeah. Attributed.
Yeah. So don't spend dollars and labor and time trying to save pennies. It's not going to help you in the end.
So rule number 4 is that you really want to know how your pallets are graded, and that can vary from liquidator to liquidator.
Yeah, and there's all different kinds. There's customer returns, shelf pulls, salvage condition. There's all these, and each liquidator, generally, if online liquidator, they will have the verbiage for the grading scale either on that individual listing or on their website as a whole. But also when you're dealing with liquidators that don't sell online, this is where relationships are key, and why we always encourage you to build a relationship with the sales rep so that you can get an accurate depiction of what kind of condition the goods are in that you are getting.
I know that we've bought pallets of Amazon shelf pull items from liquidation.com, and we thought that that's all that it was what our definition of shelf pull is. But their definition of shelf pull is actually very different, because what they include in shelf pulls are items that have been returned by a customer but were unused. So it's really, really important that you know what their definition of each of the grading scales are.
Yep. Know them grades.
Know them grades!
All right, and rule number 5, and I feel like this is probably one of the major things that new pallet flippers get in trouble with, is knowing what the freight is going to cost before you decide to purchase a pallet. So a lot of times, I get lots of emails and comments on videos where people, they go to buy a pallet, they agreed to buy it, they won the auction, and then they get their invoice, and shipping is like $400 and $500 because there are costs that are included in there that they didn't think about.
I mean, some of the things that you're going to have to know about before you even start bidding on pallets is, are you going to need a lift gate charge? Are you having them deliver to a residential area? Did you know that there was a cost for that? And how far are you in proximity to the liquidator? Because you could go to places like liquidation.com and you can bid on pallets from all sides of the country. So shipping is going to be different. So what happens when you're not paying attention and you bid on something in the Dallas area and then you bid on something in the Nevada area and you're paying 2 different shipping costs? These things can add up and can get you in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, so we always recommend trying to purchase from a liquidator as close as possible to you if they're going to be delivering it. We always recommend to go and physically look at a pallet, but we understand some people, they don't have the ability to pick up the pallet themselves and take it home. But when you are looking at having it shipped, there are places like uship.com. It's a freight brokerage. There are other places that you can Google freight broker places. But we always recommend to contact a local freight company in your area, because a lot of times they can save you a lot of money because they're already in your area. All right, so we hope that you found these 5 rules useful. These aren't the only rules that you need to know before you start to become a pallet flipper. Do some more research, read up, watch some videos, and we thank you, Steve. As always, you are always a big encouragement and supporter. Until next time, peace.